I'm first going to try to give you a working definition of what legal competence, legal capacity is. Then give you an idea about how you can test someone to see if they still have it. Then I'll talk a little bit about what happens if you think a relative or maybe you are losing legal capacity, what you should do from a legal standpoint at that point. Next, I'll talk a little bit about what happens if a relative has already lost legal capacity. And finally, I'll give you some hints as to how to keep yourself mentally spry. And let me tell you, that is very important. A lot of people, if they lose mental capacity, that is probably the major reason people move into nursing homes. Not physical problems, but the lack of mental capacity. So everything you can do to stay spry is a good idea. First of all, what is legal capacity? It's basically, different states have different definitions, but it all comes down to the idea of being able to recognize alternatives and to evaluate them in making a decision. Now, it's very important to realize that you don't have to come to the right decision. It's just to know you have alternatives and you can evaluate them in some intelligent way. You can, in this country, and it's very important, as an adult, you have the right to make dumb decisions. And this may come up when aged Aunt Ruth runs off to Las Vegas with her personal trainer, but we're not going to get into that. One of the ways of testing someone's competence is to test what is known as their executive function. And you ask them, for example, you could say, Mom, if you were going to go back to your hometown, how would you go about that? And let them think through the problems. Let me give you, to illustrate that, maybe a funnier example. Let's say your 5-year-old grandkid says, I'm running away and I'm taking Puppy with me. What you might want to do is say, well, what else might you do other than running away? What are you going to do when you get there? Why is running away better than locking yourself in the bathroom and screaming? Now, if the kid can really answer all of those questions, he has legal capacity. If he can see alternatives and understand the ramifications. Of course, for the good of this kid, and definitely for the good of the puppy, we will still disregard his decision. Now, what happens if you think you're losing it or someone is losing it? Downstream, if you don't have legal capacity, you can't make financial decisions and you can't make healthcare decisions for yourself. So you ought to be thinking about getting documents in place that will take care of that. One would be a healthcare power of attorney. Another would be a durable financial power of attorney. You might want to start a living trust. Or you also want to have the estate plan in place. Time now, if you haven't done it before, to write a will, because if you lose capacity, you can't do it and your property will go by intestacy, which is the state's best guess on how you would like it to go. If a loved one has already lost capacity and you haven't gotten these documents, then you have to go to court and get a guardianship. There'll be a court hearing. Usually these things are pretty pro forma. They can be contested. If the person, maybe like Aunt Ruth, would say, no, I'm not incompetent here. I'm just making my own decisions. You may not like them, but I'm making my own decisions. There would be a hearing, and the judge would decide whether or not the person had legal capacity. Now, one of the quick things just to note is that if you go to court, guardianships are not an all or nothing proposition. You can have a guardianship only going to find big financial decisions. And the person, the ward, which it would be called, would be able to make small financial decisions and be able to make health decisions and everywhere else, but would not be able to make large financial decisions. How to prevent mental decline? Well, there are certain things you can do. We all, of course, would like to have a magic pill that we could take with dinner and not have to worry about that again. There are a lot of studies that these pills that are sold don't really have any effect at all. They're no better than placebos. There will be no magic pill, at least in the near future. How can you keep mentally alert? Well, one way is go down to your neighborhood elementary school and volunteer 15 hours a week. There is a program that can help called Experience Course. But in any event, there was a study, a small study of 15 women who were, I guess, 8 women who were, I think, 67 years old. They spent 15 hours a week in the elementary school. They helped kids read, they helped in the lunchroom, they did everything. They were kind of gophers, they did everything. After 6 months, they took another test, a cognition test, and they found that their cognitive abilities improved 40% because of that experience. It has been said that our bodies are built to move, our brains are built for novelty. So where do you find novelty? There are a lot of computer games now. There are websites that have computer games for seniors that are trying to keep you mentally alert. And your grandkids can help you find that out. In fact, if you figured out how to work the computer, you're probably very well along the lines of being very alert. Now, there are also crossword puzzles. There are courses at community colleges. You can go take a writing course and write that great novel that you've always hoped that you would have the opportunity to, and now you do. You can travel is a great thing. You have to plan your trips. You have to go to Greece and learn how to say, where is the bathroom in Greek? And that's going to be challenging, but the more you push yourself intellectually, the smarter, the more alert you will stay. Even without going to Greece, you can just vary your daily routine. Do something different. Instead of, for example, waking up and immediately denouncing the government, wait until after breakfast to denounce the government.